Let's get to story number one. Who is really getting things done in Washington, D.C.? Folks, there are always eyes on the people in Washington, no matter where they go, what they say, what they do, what party they represent. Now, if you are just tuning in to this new age Washington, many people will say things that the atmosphere has changed. The rules of engagements have changed. Now you have to think that we are in the tech age and we're in the technology age, and you have to think years before there were civil rights movements. The game of war was played differently. Yeah, I like to reference the movie Wonder Woman, when the female, she saw that the chiefs, the what they call the people who call the shots, were up in a room while the people on the battlefield were fighting the war. So this story is important. It's made it into the top eight is because of the fact that people who are on the ground and people who are in Washington, there still seems to be what I like to call just there's not just a good relationship with people saying that what is going on, people saying that Washington is doing their job. And the reason why there's so many eyes on who is doing their job is because there's like a seesaw battle going on between each party. And when people are viewing, especially people on the outside, they're seeing each party playing politics, meaning I'll take credit for this because it's going to get me votes. You take credit for that; it's going to get you votes. So the truth of the matter is that there's a report that claimed that the Democrats have been passing a lot of bills while the president has been lashing out at their party. Now, I'm not a Democrat nor a Republican. I'm an independent. I usually vote for the better candidate, who I think is going to lead or do the right job in the seat in Washington. So we're seeing this confusion, and we're seeing mixed reports about who is actually getting things done. Now, a lot of people are criticizing this president's strategy when it comes to handling not only the media but the public, but how he revs up his base. And we've seen things happen in this country that are divisive and manipulative when it comes to what the president says behind the presidential pulpit, which I like to call it, because it's like an altar, because the president has to basically spew out his plans. A lot of people are not satisfied with the quality of what I say, the relationships that we've seen in Washington. It's like a bad marriage. But these two parties have to work together to get things done. And then you've got the fact that we're almost obligated or married to other countries when we talk about foreign and domestic policy. So you have China in the mix now, and China is saying that the U.S. is misleading its own public on this trade war. Now, this, if you listen to any media outlet, everybody's point of view about the tariffs and the trade war is really what I say, an opinion, but there's facts, and you may see as the weeks go on and these seesaw battles between Washington Democrats, Republicans continue to go on, you may see a lot of fact checking. People are calling this president a liar in multiple situations. I've heard multiple interviews, but you're getting, I'm telling you, you're seeing it. What people are saying is he makes it look like he's doing a lot more than what he really is. But this is why story number one, it will probably thaw out as the months go by, because we're getting closer and closer to election season. Now, what people are seeing, I have to give you a clear picture in mediation. I don't take sides. I look at the facts. I look at the stories. I read the headlines. And like I said, over 250 stories every week. So I have to figure out what is actually going on. And sometimes I may hear dialogue on maybe a radio program, or I may read an article that may be a little bit what they call either somebody doesn't want to see their candidate failing, or they may say that their candidate is doing everything right. And this is the discussion that's going on. That's why this headline, "Who is really getting things done in Washington," is very important, because the fact that they had a $19 billion disaster relief fund that was it was without border wall funding. Now, if anybody remembers, this president ran off building off of the border, solving the crisis at the border, which he's put a lot of media attention on the border. So I have to give him credit on that. But the thing is that this funding, this money was supposed to be paid for by the Mexicans. But he's explained it on some shows. He's trying to explain to the public how Mexico would pay for it. So the question is why is there such a divide when it comes to this president rather than any other president that has ever been in Congress? Some blame the media, some blame a lot of hype from just normal people in the game, and normal people in Hollywood. So the main question is that you'll probably see going on within this story is, what is actually getting done? And I did some research. There's been quite a few bills that have been getting through Congress. There's been I think there's been some mandatory, I think it was mandates about Medicare, about there's been some things about, oh God, I was right on the tip of my tongue, just about Medicare, about pre-existing conditions have been getting passed. But there's also things going on within the Veterans Administration. Now, they're saying that President Trump has proposed $220 billion that will go into the VA's care for veterans. Now, this is very important because a lot of attention has been on veterans' health and veterans' treatment, the way that you have people coming from war and they don't have the proper care. But what I've asked a few veterans, they still don't feel that it's enough. I mean, I don't know how much more money could be put towards VA and could be put, maybe veterans could get some type of plot of land or something. I don't know, but I talked to a lot of them, and they're still struggling with everyday activities. A lot of them have to wait on doctor visits, and there's still, the process just doesn't seem to be moving fast enough for a lot of veterans. So this is a question, and this is what you see in story number one. This is why story number one is very, very important on what is actually getting done in Washington. Then you have the USDA. Staffers are quitting in masses. This is a report. They're saying that the Trump administration is eyeing to move offices out of D.C. So they're moving. This is causing a mass. People are retiring early in the USDA. So there's things happening within Washington that are really giving this story some ammunition. Then we have Trump signing a memorandum requiring immigrant sponsors to pay for social services. So we're seeing this president, he has a divisive way of doing things, and it's causing what I say disagreements within his own party and within the majority. So you see his approval ratings fluctuating, and how he handles some situations. Now, we just saw where they had the Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, that ordeal. Now it's been delayed. This president has been criticized about his racial dealings, his racial opinions. Is he diverse enough? Is he? So this is the thing. Like I said, I'm not taking either side. I've seen President Trump bring things to light that needed to be addressed. So I have to analyze. I've seen the Democrats do some things over the years that I can't understand. I've seen them catering to special interest groups, but I have to stay in the middle. Then we see things happening within this president's own financial dealings, his own business dealings, and his ties as the president rather than his business accusations, which are questionable, because the question is that the founding fathers, even though they did own slaves and they had their own quarrels, they themselves were concerned about too much power. So these are questions. Now there were investigations. There's still investigations, ongoing investigations that they're looking at Wells Fargo, TD Bank turnovers of they're asking for them to turn over financial records to House Democrats. They want to really get down to what actually has been going on in Trump's, not only his business dealings, but they're trying to see if there's something happening that has happened before he got to. So I guess what it all boils down to is that there's still a lot of unsettledities going on in Washington, and it may be affecting the what we say, their job that they're supposed to be presenting to the public. You have to remember, these are public servants, they're getting paid taxpayer dollars, but there are still a lot of Americans that are not, that there's still roads, bridges that need to be built, and a lot of Americans are concerned, not even just about that, about Social Security. So there's a lot that goes on in story number one when we account for who is really doing what they're supposed to be doing in Washington. Then we have the fact that Jim Jordan says that Democrats are plotting to take down the president. So we have to look at this. Is there some strife going on within Washington? Then they're talking about impeachment. It's been hitting multiple headlines. So we have to ask ourselves in this story, is this story going to gain some steam when it comes to the friction that has been going on in Congress? Then we have the battle between the wealth and the poor, meaning who is going to be taxed? How do you even things out? How do you tackle the deficit? Should the wealthy have to pay for rebuilding the infrastructure? Do they have a choice? Since they have the majority of the wealth, who else is going to pay? You see Elizabeth Warren and candidates like Bernie Sanders constantly tackling the rich and constantly tackling even making statements about the rich when they themselves have a nice, healthy bank account. So when we look at this story, it's analyzed on all different types of angles. Then you have the fact that big-time American companies have been announcing layoffs and downsizing because of policies that have been affecting their normal business as usual. Then you have candidates like Bernie Sanders calling out Trump's tax cuts with words like the tax scam. So you see this friction going on in Washington, and as a public, as a retired veteran, disabled veteran, any person in their right mind is going to ask at the end of the day is, what is getting done in Washington? Is anything getting done that is going to be for the betterment of the future of not only this generation, but the next generation? And so when you look at this, you also have to realize that has Washington's policies been causing a lot of the business downsizing, the business closures? They say that China tariffs could force not only widespread store closures, but could put 40 billion in sales at risk. Folks, this story may gain some steam, and you may see analysts trying to get into the details of what actually is going on in Washington. Is there corruption going on? Has what they say, like I said, I always like to compare it to the scene that I seen in Wonder Woman. And I wasn't a big fan of Wonder Woman, but when she talked about how the officials were basically all in the offices, and the soldiers were on the battlefield, and they were in there arguing about who's possessing what, and the real people were actually fighting the war. So this is a question we have to ask ourselves: is, have we gotten to that point in time? And do we blame Washington for the woes that we're seeing now? The fact that there's been lack of regulation on some things like the internet. There's been lack of regulation on there's been just lack of domestic policies when you look at even gun violence or things. Just not all of, I'm not saying all of the, but I'm saying the fact that there's been things happening, disaster reliefs, where aid has been centered. The roads has the infrastructure been keeping up? Has Washington been able to keep up with its own country? You have entrepreneurs that have made billions. You have wealth that has been scattered all over the place, and there's still a lack of people feeling satisfied within this system. So we have to ask ourselves is, who do we blame? Do we blame ourselves, or do we blame the policies, domestic policies and foreign policies that have been? We've seen tons of soldiers, tons of people on the battlefield die for the greater good of the public. So we have to see if we have to assess, are we getting a return on the taxpayer investment? Is foreign policy working when you see the strategy to go into Iraq? So this story number one, very interesting story. I had to do just doing dibbling dabbling in all different types of fields. If you want to contribute, you're in the media with me, Brian West. Or it's my supreme duty. I'm not here to hurt you folks. I'm here to give you something that you need. Being informed, understanding what's happening within your own system. You may be wondering why nothing is getting done in your own community. I hear community activists all the time telling me, Brian, the people are not doing enough. They're not getting involved. They need a spark of excitement. And that's what I'm here for. Saving the day, flying in with anything that I can. I may not have a cape. I may not have superpowers, but I've got a voice in this fight. And that's all I got. I'm a little man. I'm maybe benching about maybe 250 on my best day, which probably is good, but it's because I'm digging deep, baby. I'm giving you what you need. News stories, being informed, staying on top of things. It will make you feel better. I guarantee it. If you want to contribute anyway, all you have to do is visit www.method8inc.com, method8inc.com. There's no slacking here, baby. I'm telling you, I'm going hard every day. I'm putting in work, and that should motivate you as a citizen, as an American, to have hope in something. Whew.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The mediator is here.